Single mum janitor kissed a billionaire to save his life, and then everything changed. The rain fell softly over the glass towers of Sydney's financial district, turning the streets silver under the city lights. Inside one of the tallest buildings, the night shift had begun. Most offices were empty, but a few lights still glowed high above the city. Maria Collins pushed her cleaning cart down the quiet hallway on the 38th floor. At 32, life had already tested her more than she ever expected. A single mother raising her 8-year-old son, Liam, Maria worked 2 jobs just to keep a small apartment and food on the table. But she never complained. To Liam, she always said the same thing. Hard days don't last forever, mate. The office she cleaned that night belonged to Harrison Blake, one of Australia's youngest billionaires and the CEO of a massive tech company. Maria had never spoken to him before. People like him lived in a completely different world. At least, that's what she believed. She quietly wiped the long conference table and vacuumed the carpet, moving carefully so she wouldn't disturb anything. Outside the glass wall, the city shimmered beneath the rain. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the CEO's private office. Maria froze. "Hello," she called. No answer. Her heart beat faster as she pushed open the door. Harrison Blake was lying on the floor beside his desk. For a moment Maria thought he had fainted. But then she saw his face turning pale, his chest barely moving. "Oh my God, sir." She rushed to him. Harrison's eyes were closed. His breathing was shallow, almost gone. Maria's mind raced. She remembered a CPR lesson she had taken years ago during a workplace safety course. But there was no time to hesitate. "Please, don't die," she whispered. She tilted his head back and began chest compressions, counting under her breath. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. His chest barely moved. Panic surged through her. Maria had one more option. She leaned down and pressed her lips against his, giving him a rescue breath. Then another. And another. Seconds felt like hours. Then suddenly, Harrison gasped. His body jerked as air rushed back into his lungs. Maria stumbled back in shock. You're okay, she said, breathing hard. Moments later, security and paramedics rushed into the office. Someone had triggered an emergency alert. The paramedics checked Harrison quickly. He went into sudden cardiac arrest, one of them said. If CPR hadn't started immediately. He glanced at Maria. He wouldn't have survived. Maria stood there silently, still holding a cleaning cloth in her hand. She slipped away quietly before anyone asked questions. She didn't think much about it. She had simply done what any person would do. The next morning, the entire building buzzed with rumors. The CEO had nearly died. And someone had saved him. Maria kept her head down as she worked. Until her supervisor approached her nervously. "Maria, the CEO wants to see you." Her stomach dropped. "Me? Yes. Right now." Maria followed him to the executive floor, feeling completely out of place among marble floors and expensive suits. Inside the office, Harrison Blake stood near the window. He looked pale, but very much alive. When he turned and saw her, his expression softened. "You're Maria," he said. She nodded awkwardly. "Yes, sir." For a moment he simply studied her, as if trying to understand something. "Last night," he said quietly, "you saved my life." Maria looked down. "I just did what anyone would do." Harrison shook his head. "No, most people would have panicked. You didn't." He walked slowly toward his desk and picked up a folder. "Do you know what happens to a company when its CEO suddenly dies?" he asked. Maria blinked. "No, sir. Chaos," he replied. "Billions lost. Thousands of employees uncertain about their future." He looked at her again. "Your courage saved more than just me." Maria didn't know what to say. Then Harrison surprised her. "I want to offer you something." She expected maybe a thank you card. Instead, he slid a document across the desk. Maria stared at it. It was a job offer. Not for janitorial work. For a position in the company's employee development program, a training program designed to help staff move into professional roles. Her eyes widened. "Sir, I'm just a cleaner." Harrison smiled slightly. "Last night you were a lifesaver. That tells me a lot about who you are." Maria hesitated. "I don't have a degree." "Neither did I when I started my first company," he replied. Silence filled the room. Finally she whispered, "Why are you doing this for me?" Harrison looked toward the rain-covered skyline. "Because people who act when others freeze are rare." He turned back to her. "And I'd like someone like that on my team." Maria felt tears forming in her eyes. Not because of the opportunity. But because, for the first time in years, someone had seen her as more than just a woman pushing a cleaning cart. Weeks passed. Maria joined the training program while continuing to support Liam. It wasn't easy. She studied late at night after putting her son to bed. But slowly, she began learning about business, management, and technology. And something unexpected happened. She was good at it. Very good. A year later, Maria Collins stood in a meeting room, not as a cleaner, but as a junior operations manager. And Harrison Blake. He often said the same thing whenever someone asked how he survived that night. A janitor refused to let me die. But privately, he knew the truth. That single moment, one act of courage from a struggling single mother, had changed both of their lives forever. And sometimes, the most powerful turning points in life begin with something as simple as a kiss meant to save a life.